Hello adventurers, it's your man Zero here, your favorite hero. Guys, in this one we're going to be going over Edda as she is launching today, and I want to make sure that we go over all the weapons that are best in slot for her, the tarot cards that you should be focusing on, and what her skills do and how she can benefit your party. So first of all, let's actually go over the skills themselves. First, her main trait, which is actually super powerful, Catching Fire, where Edda can perform an assisting attack that deals P damage to enemies surrounding her. So when it says surrounding her, it means just in her circumference, right, in her range. Next, we actually can go over the skills. We got Gliding Gleam. Gliding Gleam is a support ability where Edda gives her allies attack up, magic defense up, and movement up, and it cleanses all disruptions that have been applied to your characters, which is going to be super beneficial when you have characters who have skills that last multiple turns and such, right? So looking at Edda being very powerful with magic users. So keep that in mind. She is going to be really good with both, but particularly with magic users because, you know, with range attacks and her support range attacks, they kind of mesh really well together. Next, we got Taking Arms, which is a support ability where Edda restores energy for the allies surrounding her, and she deals extra damage when she performs an assist attack. When you actually cast this skill, you are able to do 2 assist attacks per turn versus just 1. So a very powerful ability. This is definitely one that you want to be putting on your character. Next, we got Wine Barrel Casting. Wine Barrel Casting is actually her throwing a barrel and actually doing a little bit of damage. About 20% of her overall damage is outputted through this ability, and it surrounds the area around the enemy that you target with liquor. So it does, of course, create some status effects there, which will benefit your party. And finally, here we have Barricade Fight, where Edda gains attack up whenever there is an item around her. So she can actually place items down, which we'll go over in the next page, but you can also utilize different items that are around you already in the map. So you want to place her behind barricades, behind blocks, that kind of thing, and then she'll be actually able to do that much more output and damage, and if you actually choose the right skill, have a higher level of defense. So before we go to the actual skill page and see what best in slot weapons we have, what your talent tree is going to look like, and what tarot cards you should be focusing on, let's actually go over what faction she's a part of. So first we have the faction Era. So she is part of Era, so that's definitely worthwhile to know. So she will work really well with your free-to-play account. And then we got her as a part of the Drifter group, so do keep that in mind. That means she works really well with Cole. And finally, we have her a part of the Discipline group. So that means she works really well with Ina. So as you can see, she is part of a lot of the factions of characters that we actually have in the SNS Plus tier. So super beneficial for that regard. The only one that I think she doesn't really connect with is Beryl, which is a shame, but her overall skills do support Beryl in her damage output. Next, let's go over the actual skills themselves and which ones you should be focusing on at rank 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. So first, big thanks to Ceylon Journey for providing us this information. Definitely follow them on X if you do have the ability to. Now let's go over those skills. So first and foremost, at tier 1, you want to be getting Build Fortifications. This is the ability that you're going to be utilizing to build and place items down on the map, which are going to be super helpful for A, creating a blockade, and B, giving more damage and defense capabilities for Era when she's out on the field. At rank 3, you actually want to focus on both of these skills. So you want to focus on the Guide of Glimmer and the Throwing Barrels. So the Guide of Glimmer does give you those buffs that she can apply to her party members, the attack up, the magic defense up, and the movement up, as well as removing any disturbances or disruptions from your party. And Throwing Barrels is the one where she's able to throw a barrel, which actually covers the area in liquor and does that 20% damage to the enemy that you target. At rank 5, you want to be focusing on Cover Advantage. So this one works really closely in tandem with Build Fortifications. You'll actually notice that Build Fortifications is super important when it comes to her build, and this one is the ability that allows you to have additional defense if there's an item 1 block away from Edda, and that defense is increased by 40%, which is massive. At rank 7, you want to be getting the Break of Defense. So this is a passive which allows Edda to apply physical defense down to an enemy. The probability of that being applied is about 50%, which is pretty good. Next, at rank 9, we have Dispel Shot. You can get either one of these, honestly. This is just a recommended. This is not actually set in stone. This is not like the best in slot. You could go with Dispel Shot, and as well as you could go Shield Breaker if that's more your thing. So what Dispel Shot does is it replaces your basic attack, and it allows Edda to do 100% damage out, and it dispels 2 buffs from the enemy. And otherwise, you can go Shield Breaker, which is another basic attack, but in this case, The attack gains Broken Shield 1. And finally, at rank 11, you want to be taking up arms. So this is the one that was really important. It means that when you actually utilize this support skill, Edda is going to be able to output 2 support attacks per turn, and those attacks actually go up to 120% damage versus the regular 30% damage output. All right, and that's it for the skills. Now let's go over the weapons that she has, best in slot, and accessories and stuff. All right, so first off, I am just showing you guys free-to-play weapons, so that way you can actually get these weapons without depending on them actually coming to you from events and stuff like that. So when it comes to the first one, I like to go over the gold, which is going to be the steel crossbow in this particular case. This weapon is available in Weapon Trial 2, and it ignores 12% of the target's defense at its base level. Next, we have the legendary meteor line. This weapon increases P attack by 1% after dealing damage to a single target attack, and it inflicts 1 random level 1 debuff for 2 turns. This weapon is available in Weapon Trial 1. And finally, we have the Iranian combat bow. This weapon increases P attack by 1% and deals 10% more damage when the character is attacking outside of their turn. So as you can imagine, with her assist skill, this weapon is going to be phenomenal. This was probably going to be your best in slot once you have those abilities all in play. Now let's go over the 2 accessories that you can get for Edda. Starting off, let's talk about the Disaster Bottle. This one seems to be the best in slot for a lot of characters because it is so available to you, and it is available in all the different weapon trials. So this one will come to you kind of as you go along and hunt for your other weapons. And it is gold, so it's more frequent, and there's a high probability that you may land on this accessory. This accessory is an instant, and it inflicts a 1 random level 2 attribute debuff on the enemy that you use it on. This weapon also doesn't have a limiter. That means that you can use it multiple times in your battle. And as an honorable mention, we got True Lens. Now this weapon isn't something that you can grind, unlike the other ones that I showed you earlier, but we are getting it from like the Voyage Memento and that kind of thing. It is an accessory, and it increases your P attack by 1%, and when you're attacking from Highland, so above the enemies, your crit increases by 12%. So this is a phenomenal accessory that you will be getting, and you can either put it on Faisal or you can put it on Edda if you get her, and it is probably your best in slot for accessories. Now, let's hop over the tarot cards that you should be grinding right now for Edda. So I'm pulling up all 3 here for you so that you can see them all in one kind of snapshot. We got Guidance of the World as our first main one here, which recovers 1 energy additionally when the character is not using an active skill. So as you can imagine, because she's more of an inactive player, this one is actually going to be super beneficial and be impactful. Next, we have the Destruction of the Tower, and in this one, when it is not your character's skill, the damage dealt by them is increased by 20%. And finally, we have the Rays of the Sun. When attacking an injured enemy, ignores 20% of their defense. So that one works really well because she is a support attacker. That enemy is 100% going to be injured before she actually does her attack. So this one is going to allow you to output more damage. But I think all in all here, probably Rays of the Sun is probably going to be the best for you because removing some defense from enemies that are very strong defense-wise is going to be super beneficial, as well as this one will actually impact your damage output while you're not doing an active skill. So if you are just wanting to use Edda and then actually just attack a target that is injured already, this will actually have an impact versus the other 2, which are more just on a reactive side of things. And really, guys, that's it for this video. I do believe Edda is going to be fantastic, an amazing support character, and hopefully you guys do get a copy of her. And I hope you guys have fantastic luck in your pulls today. Good luck out there. Take care, adventurers. Be well.